Ask almost anyone what the fastest lap in Mario Kart Deluxe is, and you'll hear the same answer every time. Baby Park. It's tiny, it's simple, and it's obviously the shortest track in the game, so that should be the end of the discussion, right? And honestly, that's exactly what I thought too. But Mario Kart has an entire category of tracks that don't work like Baby Park does. Section tracks. Mount Wario, Big Blue, and all the city courses from the Booster Course Pass. These tracks don't loop. They're broken into sections, which raises a real question. Can a single section be completed faster than a full Baby Park lap? So instead of guessing, I timed every one of them using the in-game time trial stopwatch and compared them directly to Baby Park. And on paper, at least one or two of these tracks like like they should win, which is why we have to test them section by section. Before we compare Baby Park to anything else, we need to log down the rules, because Mario Kart Deluxe does not define a lap the same way on every track. On loop tracks like Baby Park, a lap is simple. Cross the same finish line after completing a full circuit. On section tracks like Mount Wario, Big Blue, and every city course on the Booster Course Pass, a lap is defined as completing one full section in order, validated by the game's checkpoint system. So for this video, a lap only counts if the lap counter increases by 1 or the race ends. Everything we test comes from in-game time trials, using the built-in stopwatch. No mods, no TAS, just what the game itself will accept as real. Baby Park is where we should start. It's the simplest course in the game, a tight oval with no elevation changes, no gliders or ramps, and no mushroom shortcuts. Under time trial racing conditions, a strong 200cc lap already falls into single-digit seconds. In my tests, the fastest lap I could get was 6.387 seconds. That's the time every section in this video has to beat. That's the bar, and is brutally high, which is what makes the rest of this interesting. Let's start with the Booster Course Pass city tracks. Some of their sections look tiny, so if anything beats Baby Park, this is where it should happen. Our first candidate is Tokyo Blur. It doesn't have that many shortcuts, just this metal ramp, so the only way to push the time down is raw speed. I headed into the second lap with 10 coins and a purple mini turbo to get a huge boost at the start. I used 2 of my mushrooms purely to hold speed through the turns and was able to squeeze out a 16.745. It's very fast, just not fast enough. Next up is London Loop, and this one's interesting because even though it's one of the longest city tracks, lap 2 is much shorter and it hides a massive shortcut. After grabbing 10 coins, I entered lap 2 with a purple mini turbo, dodged the chain chomp, and used my first mushroom to launch off this grass bump and skip a huge chunk of the track. I used my 2 remaining boosts purely for compression purposes, cutting distance and building speed, but even with all of that, the time still isn't close. And what's frustrating is that London Loop actually gives us more than Tokyo Blur did. Real shortcuts and real time saves, yet it still doesn't get us there. That's okay, because London Loop isn't the last city track we're testing, and this last one looks even more promising. Amsterdam Drift is the final city track we're going to test, and this is where things start to look really promising. This section is the shortest we've seen so far, and because it's entirely underwater, we can build boosts almost constantly by drifting off ramps. So instead of relying on big shortcuts, this one is all about keeping speed as high as possible the entire time. I went into the lap with 10 coins and max speed, and used all 3 mushrooms to keep momentum through the fastest lines, turning them into mini turbos whenever possible. And for a moment, it actually feels like this might be enough, but even with all of that, the final time still doesn't get there. And at this point, it's clear the city tracks aren't the answer. Our best contenders were Tokyo and Amsterdam, but even with near perfect runs, neither one can break under 15 seconds. So if Baby Park is going to lose, it won't be the speed, it'll be the shortcuts. Let's start with Donut Plains 3. This is one of the most well-known bagging tracks in the game. Tight turns, but tons of off-road and shortcuts that stack cleanly with mushrooms. After using all 3 of them and cutting through the grass, a lot of distance just disappears, with my best time being 19.277. It's not a bad time, we're just not at the obvious contender yet. Next up is Snowland. This one is famous for one thing: it has arguably the biggest shortcut in the entire game, in multiple places where mushrooms save huge chunks of time. After chaining together perfect drifts, an empty trick, and this massive gap jump sacrifice, I managed to get a time of 22.167 seconds. For a track with one of the biggest shortcuts in the game, the final time is surprisingly underwhelming.
Now Moo Moo Meadows. This track might be the strongest contender yet. I started the lap with a purple mini turbo and chained all 3 mushrooms into the biggest shortcuts and cut as much distance as possible. The stopwatch gets closer than before, but it never gets under 15 seconds, and after running every one of these tracks the same way, a clear pattern shows up. Bagging tracks work, they work really well. Every track here gets closer, but even big shortcuts can't save enough time on normal 3-lap tracks, which means there's only one serious test lap, because none of these have what section tracks have, genuinely short sections. Our last hope remains, and this is the test the Baby Park is most likely to lose.
Mount Wario is the obvious first candidate. It's steep, it's downhill, and it feels ridiculously fast. The shortest section is the first one, so I used a mushroom right at the start and took this shortcut to save as much time as possible. And for a moment, it actually feels promising. The kart is constantly accelerating downhill, the speed never really drops and the lines are extremely tight. But when the section finally ends, the stopwatch gives me 3/7. Unfortunately, that's closer to a jackpot than it is to Baby Park. N64 Rainbow Road looks like it might have a better chance. Unlike the original version, it's divided into surprisingly short sections. But after testing it the same way, the result is almost identical. Fast? Absolutely. Fast enough? Not even close. Which leaves us with exactly one track left. Big Blue. Big Blue has more potential than any tracks we've tested. It has boost panels scattered everywhere throughout the track, but that's not all. In its second section, there are water streams flowing that push us forward, a cannon glider, and most importantly, 2 giant shortcuts, including the biggest in the entire game. If any track is going to beat Baby Park, this is the one. Let's find out. And that's the answer. Big Blue looked like the best chance we had. Boost panels, water currents, a cannon glider, and some of the biggest shortcuts in the game, but even that wasn't enough. After testing every section track from the base game and the booster course pass, Baby Park is still the fastest valid lap in Mario Kart Deluxe. You might have noticed I didn't ask you to subscribe once during this video. That's because I hate when videos like this get interrupted, especially when the whole point is testing something properly. If you enjoyed this kind of breakdown, subscribing is the easiest way to make sure YouTube shows you the next one. And if you're the kind of person who enjoyed watching a stopwatch decide the fate of Baby Park, you'll probably enjoy the rest of this channel, because it's mostly about finding shortcuts, some that save time and some that don't. Thanks for watching.